Welcome to Brian Keane Fitness Podcast, where we talk everything fitness, nutrition and mindset with your host Brian Keane.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast. We talk everything fitness, nutrition and mindset to help you with your goals. Today's episode is going to be a Friday Q&A, and I've actually pulled some questions from my Instagram stories. So if you're not following my Instagram, Brian Keane Fitness, definitely follow me on there. I've been putting up a lot of stuff on my Instagram stories. So today's episode, I've actually pulled 4 of the 5 questions from Instagram stories. So make sure to follow me, Brian_Keane_fitness. I signed up for Instagram before I realized you didn't have to put the underscores, so that's why there's underscores there. But if you just search people Brian Keane Fitness, it should bring it straight up. So first question comes from Connor Coppinger. How can I lose my belly if I've never really exercised before? So Connor mentioned in his message, he was talking that he's an ex-smoker and he's wondering how to get in shape basically for the first time. So the first thing you need to do, Connor, and the advice would go the same for anybody that's looking to get in better shape, regardless of your exercise history, is getting your nutrition on point and getting that set up first. That's the basic foundation and fundamental of everything, because you can have the best training program in place, you can take the best supplements, but if you don't have your nutrition on point, you're always going to be going against the glass ceiling and minimizing your actual results that you're going to get. That being said, and you flip it, you get your nutrition on point and you miss your training or you miss supplements or don't take supplements, you can still get incredible results. So it shows the actual strength that nutrition has on your body's ability to change its composition. So what I would do is make sure you get your nutrition on point first. There's loads of different styles that people use. There's things like IIFYM, which is if it fits your macros, which is kind of like flexible dieting, where you'll eat strict for 80% of the day and then loose for 20% of the day. You may be just fitting it into your actual macros, so you don't care where you get your carbs from or your fats from. There's the keto diet, where you put your body into a ketogenic state, so that you're running off ketones primarily as opposed to glucose. There's loads of different systems. The one that I am a big fan of because of its sustainability is just eating real clean foods and keeping your blood sugars balanced and stable through the day. So I generally, from my online program, for anyone that works with me online, in my top 50 program, my phase 1 and phase 2 program, it's based around eating real foods that your body can utilize for energy, and then spacing them so that you're basically keeping your blood sugar stable all day. So you want to focus on good, clean protein sources, fish, chicken, beef that's been grass-fed, carbohydrate sources that are oats, sweet potato, brown rice that haven't been highly processed or microwavable versions, and you want to stick with good fruits and vegetables that are going to fuel your body and give you good energy, alongside fats from omega-3 sources, salmon, oily fish, flaxseed, hemp, depending on personal preference. So you want to make sure that you're getting your macros on point from fats, protein and carbohydrates side, and then eating real clean foods that are going to support your body's ability to have more energy, which will allow you to burn more body fat because you'll be able to train at a higher intensity. That alongside keeping your blood sugar stable. So the general rule I'll have people follow, again, I tailor, because my online program, I work with everybody individually. I tend to tailor and tweak this depending on the person. But the general rule would be that you're spacing your meals out every 3 hours or so. So you'll have breakfast, 2.5, 3 hours later, you'll have a small snack. 2.5, 3 hours later, you'll have lunch. 2.5, 3 hours later, you'll have a small snack. 2.5, 3 hours later, you'll have your dinner. And then if you're hungry before bed, you can have a snack if you're somebody that finds they sleep better with a snack before bed. So spacing that keeps your blood sugar stable. Assuming you're using real quality clean foods that your body understands and it can absorb, it's going to give you more energy through the day. And as long as you're not massively overeating on calories, you're going to be able to lose body fat that way. I would personally, if you're really struggling with the nutritional side, putting your macros together, get yourself onto a good nutritional plan. That doesn't necessarily need to be my one. That could be any good fitness person that's in your area or a good fitness person online that you follow and trust. But I would get yourself onto a good nutritional plan, because you can get everything else right from the training point of view and the supplement point of view, and your body will not change or really minimize any change you make unless you get your nutrition on point. Okay, next question from Janie Mackerel. Hey Brian, any tips for getting rid of lower back fat as a female? Okay, so I answered this question on my Snapchat, BrianK019, actually last week, but I'm going to do an expanded version here just to kind of approach it from a slightly different angle. So everything that I mentioned in the last question about getting your nutrition on point, keeping blood sugar stable, all of those things are going to help, because it's hard for your body to actually spot reduce where you hold your body fat. So obviously you have to hit it from all the normal angles. Get yourself into a calorie deficit through training or through nutrition, or both. Eating good quality foods your body understands, and then making sure you're using supplements that are going to support that. In terms of actually getting your lower body fat down on your back, there's a couple of things I found that have affected my females and have got their lower back fat down faster than just training and diet and supplements alone. I found that sometimes that when there's an estrogen imbalance in my girls, that they can hold on to that body fat in their lower back, down to their body producing too much estrogen or not enough estrogen. As long as that balance is out of whack, your body's not going to be in its optimal state for burning fat, particularly from its stubborn area. So when you're holding body fat in your stubborn area, you obviously have your visceral fat over your organs, and you have your subcutaneous fat, which is the fat that you can pull and see that's over your lower back, it's over your abs, it's normally in your stubborn area of your body. I put up a post on my blog on www.briankeenfitness.com, which if you're really struggling with stubborn body fat, it might be worth looking at that, because I've got pictures that illustrate the visceral fat and subcutaneous, and sometimes that visual can help. But there are things that I found with my girls, things like supplementing with DIM, and balancing out that estrogen and testosterone level in females can help get that body fat down on your back quicker, alongside reducing any inflammation in the body. So the things like cutting out processed foods. So if you've seen any before and afters on my social media platforms, with particularly my girls, and how their lower body fat and their abs and their stomach have reduced, is down to pulling out processed ingredients from their food, so that they're not holding that water retention or creating too much of an inflammatory state within their body, which means that you're going to hold on to that stubborn fat more. So things like cutting out those processed foods, and then adding in apple cider vinegar and omega-3, which is going to further reduce any inflammation in your body. So apple cider vinegar tends to pull your body from an acidic state back into an alkaline state, which again will reduce overall inflammation in the body. People normally kind of tout apple cider vinegar as a fat burner, and it kind of is. It's not a direct fat burner. It doesn't have any direct effect on lipolysis. It doesn't release fat from the cells. It doesn't speed up metabolism as such. But what it does is it moves your body from an acidic state into an alkaline state, which makes your vital organs function better, which means that your body becomes more adept at burning body fat as a fuel source. So instead of it actually being a potent fat burner, it just makes your body a better machine at burning body fat. So that's a good one to add in, normally a tablespoon or two once or twice a day, and then add in omega-3 to reduce your overall inflammation in your body. A good strong omega-3 that has at least 50% EPA and DHA, which are the active compounds that make omega-3 so good. Make sure you're supplementing with that, and that can help bring down the inflammation in your body alongside cutting processed foods. And the DIM can help balance out your estrogen levels and your testosterone levels in your body. The last thing then is make sure that you're supplementing with vitamin D. Most people are pretty deficient in vitamin D, and if you're living in the UK or Ireland, as I know a lot of people are, even though I know there's people all over the world listening to this podcast, but if you're living in a country that doesn't get as much sun, it's very important to supplement back in your vitamin D. Not only that, but it can help balance out and support testosterone levels, which both genders need. It's just you don't want the scale to tip too much on one side, because that's when the host of problem comes for both genders, guys and girls. Girls, it just tends to manifest itself in more lower back fat, more stubborn fat around the stomach. So you want to keep everything balanced there. Next question from Tree Arnold on Instagram. I want to lose 10 pounds. Do you think IIFYM is a sustainable way to lose it and keep it off? So anyone that doesn't know, IIFYM is if it fits your macros, which basically means that you have a certain amount of targets of carbs, fats and proteins that you have to hit during the day, and as long as you hit those numbers, you're pretty solid. It doesn't really matter where your sources come from. And so a lot of people that do IIFYM, it was kind of popularized by some fitness people that would have like Pop-Tarts and Skittles and different sugary foods and things like that, because they're like, well, if it fits your macros, it doesn't matter whether your carb source comes from, pancakes or Pop-Tarts or sweet potato or oats or whatever that looks like for them. It's something that went quite viral, and I see why, because there's great virality. Like there's a lot of, like, if you see someone that's 4% body fat eating Pop-Tarts every day, you're going to ask questions, go, oh, well, I want to do that. The truth is, there's a lot of shit in the fitness industry, and as somebody that's been very into the middle of it, for those of you who've been following me a while, you know that I competed on the world stage. I got a pro card in fitness muscle modeling. I went to the Worlds in Vegas, finished 8th in the world, and was very much in that middle circle of a lot of those fitness people that you'll follow on Instagram and follow on social media. And I will tell you right now, it is not all it fucking looks. It's one of those things that I have such issues because I have found, this isn't a knock because there's some incredible people in the fitness industry. I've got people that I've made friends with who will be friends for my life in the fitness industry. But the other 80% of people, I have found that the better their life looks on Instagram and social media is a direct inverse to the actual insecurity that they have in their life. And it was like a brick to the head for me when I was competing in that world, when I would see people who I'd followed for years and looked up to and aspired to, and they were a walking ball of insecurity, and they were walking around and they were my version of the time of physical perfection. And they had which made me realize that Jesus, everybody has their own demons and everyone's going through their own shit. And sometimes a lot of the posts that are put up on Instagram is people's way of trying to get that satisfaction from likes and comments and shares in terms of because they're feeling a void within their own life. And it made me reflect a lot on myself because I was doing something very similar. The reason it hit so hard was because I was putting up topless selfies and I was putting up these videos so that I could get gratification from people because I needed an external source to tell me that I looked pretty because I felt bad within myself. So I have found that if you see things on social media, this isn't always the case. There's some amazing people out there, but if you see things on social media that, you know, are high flying in jets, or outside mansions, or with Lamborghinis or Ferraris, or have 100 girls around them or 100 guys around them with abs or whatever it is normally, I have found a direct inverse to the actual security level that they're truly feeling. That's not the case with everybody, but just be aware that everything you see on social media isn't necessarily the case that it is in real life. And that's speaking as somebody that was in the middle of that industry and speaking as somebody who was going down that path of putting up those selfies and putting up those videos because of my own insecurity within myself. You just have to scroll back to my social media over the last 2-3 years and you can see back when I was an ab selfie wanker and the same content I put up, the same as every other generic fitness wanker on social media. So just be aware of that before I get into the IIFYM, that not everything you see on social media is necessarily the way it is. So in the case of what IIFYM, that got very popular by people talking about Pop-Tarts and different, Skittles or Mars bars or whatever it is that they were fitting into their macros. The truth is, some people are genetic freaks and can do that and can eat Pop-Tarts every day. Other people are incredibly hard trainers and have such an amazing output that their body soaks up and burns through these foods like throwing paper on a fire. And for others, there's people using different fat burners and different drugs that are going to massively increase their metabolism. So their ability to burn through those fast carbohydrates and those shitty foods is at a much higher level than the majority of people that are walking around that look quote unquote normal or look quote unquote not 3% body fat or 4% body fat with massive glutes and fake boobs. Like, again, it's just to kind of give you a bit of perspective that just because people on Instagram do it and people on social media do it, it's not always as you see. So in terms of IIFYM, do I think it works? Yeah, it will work. At the end of the day, as long as you're eating in a calorie deficit, it doesn't matter whether you're getting them from amazing clean foods or getting them from Cocoa Pops and Monster and protein bars. If you're in a calorie deficit, your body's going to lose body fat. You're going to be able to change your shape. Do I think it's optimal and sustainable long term? It depends on the person. I've got people in the fitness industry that live on cans of Monster, Red Bull, Cocoa Pops, protein bars, and they look in incredible shape all year round. They'll admit themselves that they don't feel that good, obviously, because those foods are going to put your body into a state of fight or flight. You're going to have anxiety, worry issues for no reason. It can affect your sleep and it can have all these negative effects on your actual central nervous system and other impacts in your life. But in terms of can you get into amazing shape with eating those foods and using them? Yeah, definitely, 100%. I did. When I used to compete and I was down that side, I used to have protein bars every single day, and I had Cocoa Pops, post-workout on my leg days, and I was able to get into, really low single-digit body fats. I was able to hold a lot of my size. But in terms of keeping it sustainable long term, wasn't sustainable for me because I felt such a state of anxiety. My sleep was affected. I was worrying for no reason, and it was because of these foods that I was eating. I personally think that if you calculate your macros and figure out what's going to work best for your body in terms of actual calories in, calories out, timing out your carbohydrates, are you better off carbs, are you better off fats? I've spoke about that in episodes before. Some people will work better and metabolize carbohydrates better. Some people will metabolize fats better. I would always have to shift. People I work with in my online program, I tend to shift or whatever their body works with best. And if you want to know how you work, try dropping your carbs really low. If you find you feel amazing and have incredible energy, you probably metabolize fats better. If you become a zombie and can't function, you probably metabolize carbohydrates better. I've spoke about that in episodes before, that I can drop my carbs to zero. As long as my fats stay high, I actually feel better. So it's my way of knowing that I metabolize fats better, and I tend to apply that with people that I work with in my group, more so for advanced trainers, because it's something that it pushes you to the next level. If you're just getting into it to begin with, just getting everything on point nutritionally and carbohydrate wise and protein wise and maximizing training will give you an amazing response. But for those people that are kind of plateauing, have tried everything, that can be the difference between, moving from a 9 to a 10. So do I think it's sustainable? It depends on the person. It may be sustainable for you if you don't mind the effects that some of those foods and having sugary foods or having Pop-Tarts or having Cocoa Pops or having whatever it is doing in your body, and you don't mind the way it's affecting your mood and your sleep and your energy levels and all of that, then it's definitely sustainable. There's some people who need one of those 3 meals every evening, and that's not wrong either. If that's what works best for you and you need to have a bowl of Cocoa Pops every day, or you need to have your Pop-Tarts every evening, and it allows you to stay on track and allows you to eat clean the rest of the day, and it allows you to train at an optimal level, and you feel better about your life and you have something to look forward to every day, and it works for you and you're able to sustain that, then definitely I would apply that. It's a case of trialing it on, see if it fits. If it doesn't, try something else. If it does, then double down on it and make it work. Next question from John Ryan on Instagram. I'm tired all the time. Should I just take a pre-workout or fat burner to train? Okay, firstly, if you're tired all the time, John, it's a sign there's something off, either in your lifestyle, in your nutrition, in your sleep. There's something off that is making you tired all the time. So before you add in any fat burner or stimulant or pre-workout, I would try and find the source. It's cause and effect. Your effect is that you're tired all the time. The cause is from something in your lifestyle. So either not sleeping enough, not eating the right food, drinking too much. I've seen it with people that have over-reliance on stimulants and coffee, and then they cut it. Sometimes it can have that effect where your adrenal fatigue kicks in and your adrenals aren't functioning as normal, so that you're tired all of the time. So what I would do first is have a look at what's going on in your lifestyle that's making you tired all the time. I know you spoke that you worked in the Irish Defence Forces, so I'm not sure if there's some form of post-traumatic stress there from a trip that you were away you didn't mention, or if it's something that your sleep schedule was off. But I would have a look into your lifestyle and try and find out what it is that's off. Are you not sleeping every night? Is your body not getting recovery, that you're physically tired all the time? Are you eating foods that are going to make your body more tired? So certain processed ingredients, foods that take so much actual energy to break down that they don't supply your body with any energy. So microwavable foods, highly processed foods, they consume so much energy to break down because your body doesn't understand what they are. They don't actually give your body physical energy when you consume them. That's why I tend to push people towards eating real clean foods, because the fact that food in calories were meant to give you energy, but when you start messing with them and adding in additives and preservatives, you take away that function that they have, so they actually don't provide you with energy anymore. So I'd look at your sleep and nutrition first. In terms of taking a pre-workout and a trainer, then the general rule I find that I use and apply, which may sound a little bit contradictory, but this is what I try and apply 90% of the time, is I will take a pre-workout on the days that I don't need it. And I'm going to tell you why, because when I say that to people, they kind of look at me sometimes. What I generally find that if I don't need a pre-workout to train and I take a pre-workout, it moves my workout from a 9 to a 10, where in the past, I've taken pre-workouts on the days I was really, really tired and I needed to go to the gym. What I found that if I'm too tired to train, it's a sign that I've got something off somewhere else in the day. Either I didn't sleep, I haven't got my nutrition on point. I'm overtrained from training too much. I'm overworked from stressing too much from work and different lifestyle stuff. That's my body's way of telling me, Brian, you need to take a rest today. So I generally don't take pre-workouts on those days. But on the days when I'm like, yes, I'm ready to train, I can't wait, I've got loads of energy, let's do it. They're the days I'll take the pre-workout because it'll move my workout from a 9 to a 10. It's what keeps my intensity level so high when I actually do train. So that's something that I try and follow 90% of the time. There are times where I will take it because I haven't slept well, or if Holly's been awake, and particularly last weekend Holly was sick, so I didn't sleep too well and I wanted to train because it was the only window I had before my meetings and schedules on the Monday. So I took my pre-workout to give me that energy, but that would be more rarer than actually the way I normally take it, which is to increase my energy from a 9 to a 10. So what I would do there is I would look back on your actual lifestyle, your sleep, your nutrition, try and figure out what's wrong there, what's taking away your energy, what's causing you to have no energy, and then I would fix that problem. And then if you want to add in a fat burner or a pre-workout after that, then it's going to be your decision if you want the extra energy. But I would make sure you fix the cause and you'll end up fixing the effect from that. Okay, next question comes from Snapchat. So if you're not following my Snapchat, BrianK019, definitely follow me on there. Snapchat and Instagram stories are probably my two most active platforms at the minute. So make sure you're following me on both of those. I open it up where you can ask me questions back and forth. So I love it, Snapchat particularly, because I can open it up and you guys can ask me questions directly. I love the actual accessibility on it. It's incredible. It's my favorite platform at the minute. So from Peter the Manning, how do I know if I'm carb sensitive? So carb sensitivity or insulin sensitivity, they're kind of a little bit interchangeable. Basically means your body's ability to absorb carbohydrates and use them for energy. All carbohydrates do is they give your body energy. There's no essential carbohydrate. There's essential fatty acids for fat. There's essential amino acids for protein. There's no essential carbohydrate. So its only real job in the body is to give you energy. So you want to make sure that you're in an insulin sensitive state or a carb sensitive state so that you can actually let carbohydrate do its main job. The opposite of that is insulin resistance or carb resistance, is where your body doesn't actually utilize the carbohydrate and metabolize it for energy. So a lot of people that are very, very overweight or obese tend to be insulin resistant or carb resistant. So they actually eat loads and loads and loads of carbohydrates, but because there's like something blocking it being metabolized, they don't get any energy from it. So that's why you find the people I've worked with and people that have came through my program that were very overweight, very obese to start with, I pull back their carbohydrates, or else I pull back all their simple sugars to try and make them more insulin sensitive, because they're eating carbohydrates. It's why their energy level stays low, because they can eat carbohydrates and carbohydrates and carbohydrates and get no energy. Whereas if you're insulin sensitive or carb sensitive, if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, you're going to have a lot of energy because your body's metabolizing that and it's literally using it as a fuel source. You know, in my GA Lean Body program, I try and reduce carbohydrates regardless of the program that people are on for a couple of days, so that when they load it with glycogen a couple of days before a game, your body sucks up those carbohydrates like a sponge, so that come game time, you've got so much physical energy from glycogen levels being stored that if you add in any sort of caffeine or any sort of green tea extract with a mild source of caffeine, you're literally hitting it from a two-pronged approach, because you're physically perfect and ready for your game, and then if you need a mental kick, you can add that in and it bumps up performance. So in terms of checking to see if you're carb sensitive, the best way to check it is have a little bit of self-awareness on how your body is feeling after you have your carbohydrate meals. I know myself when I'm really, really insulin sensitive or carb sensitive, if I go low carb for a day or two and then I add in sweet potato or I add in oats, I get this massive surge of energy, or else I start to feel my muscles getting really, really full and pumped, like to the point that it feels like I've taken a pre-workout or something that's pumping like arginine or citrulline malate that's improving blood flow. It makes me feel more pumped. That's how I check my own insulin sensitivity levels. I would recommend something very, very similar. See how you feel after a carbohydrate meal. If you're feeling really sluggish, sometimes it can be from the source, because some people don't metabolize certain carbs that well. I don't metabolize white potatoes that well. They make me feel a bit bloated and my stomach swells after I eat them, but I metabolize sweet potato really well, so I get that physical effect of having more energy. So what I would do for trial period of 2-3 days is try your different carb sources, and if you're finding you're getting a massive energy spike from them and you feel great after you have them, you're probably a little bit more carb or insulin sensitive than normal. And on the flip side, if you're getting more tired or sluggish, or you're overweight or obese to begin with, you're probably carb and insulin resistant, and you need to reduce your carbs back and make yourself a little bit more sensitive to it. So again, it depends on the case, depends on the starting point, depends on the person, but that's a kind of little way of testing out to see where your carb sensitivity level is at. Okay, so I hope you guys got a load of value from this episode. I want to say a massive thank you again for everyone for downloading. And if you want more information on me, you can head over to my blog on www.briankeenfitness.com. You can sign up to my newsletter on there. If you want any information on my online program, my top 50 program where I work with people, it's the only program where I work with people directly through my Facebook group. The Q&A is live back and forth. Email me at brian@briankeenfitness.com or check out more information on the website. And if you want more information on my GA Lean Body program, where you can build the body you want while improving performance, it's the program that I designed that if you want to build muscle or lose body fat or drop a couple of dress sizes and increase your actual performance on the pitch, it's the reason I designed that GA Lean Body program. So you can email me for more information or check out the information on the website. For my Snapchat, BrianK019, I open up every day for questions back and forth, so make sure to follow me on there. And Instagram, which I've been a lot more active on recently, particularly on the stories, is Brian_Keen_Fitness. And Facebook and YouTube is both Brian Keen Fitness. Thanks for listening again, guys. Catch you soon.